I promised I'd make a video. It's just going to be a quick one. So we're going to do a secondary gear reduction in this Pioneer 500. It's a lot more work than doing it on the four-wheeler, mainly because it's a side-by-side, right? So the engine is not as easily accessible. It's kind of buried in there. But the first thing you do is pull up this back rack piece. There's 8 12mm bolts through those holes. Whole back rack and plastic comes off. Very nice. This guy had a hitch, so I also pulled that off. No big deal. The second thing you pull off is the air box right there. See the air box? It's got a hose clamp, 110, a couple little plastic pins, and it comes off. So with that gone, it's pretty clear. But to get yourself even more room, you take off the big cover on the catalytic converter. That's that big steel cover right there. Then you unbolt the diff. There's 3 bolts and nuts on the rear diff. Last time I did one of these, I actually removed the diff because I had to replace an axle anyways and stuff. But this guy's axles are in good shape, so I didn't do it that way. I just slid the diff back, put a ratchet strap to hold the diff back out of the way for me, and it slid back pretty easy. And that allows me to sneak the drive shaft out. Now his drive shaft is completely full of nasty, rusty water, as you just saw it pour out. So I'm going to recommend he replaces that U-joint, because that O-ring was not working. This bike has been used extensively in water. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. A little bit of rust in the intake here. I had to check out his air filter and see if the air filter cage is rusting. That could be bad. This thing does sound like it has a little piston noise. Maybe that's the cause of it, not sure. So now you got to pull the cover off. To do that, I get the intake manifold completely out of the way, just so it's a little easier. It's not too much extra work. Pull off your wires, pull off your starter, pull off your skid plate. A lot of the tins are not fun and easy to get to. You can pull the exhaust to make your life easier, but honestly, it's not really worth it. Just work around it in this case, because these exhausts can be a huge pain in the ass. And then when it comes to actually pulling the cover off, you got to pull off the voltage regulator and flip that out of your way. It's 210s. And the brakes kind of get in the way, so I pull the brake caliper as well. But once you get in the motor, it's just a Rubicon 500 41500 motor, so that's all the same as my last secondary video. So I will post that same video at the end of this. But yeah, there's a quick how-to. Alrighty, we got the torque locker, formerly known as Aussie, installed in this P500. This thing has been thoroughly used, and you'll hear some squeaking because these brakes are metal to metal, because I think he needs a new caliper. And these brakes, the pads aren't metal to metal, they just squeal real bad. So try to ignore the brake noise. But you notice, it's in four-wheel drive, we go to turn the wheel, we can't. It's locked, right? Do a little magic trick, we'll do the other side. It's locked. Hear the brakes? But watch this. If you press your foot against here, lock one wheel, grab the other wheel, it free spins. And you hear that little ratchet noise? That's the locker disengaging. Isn't that amazing? Boom, instant traction. But if you're on a corner and they had to spin opposite times, freewheel. Super cool. It's the same locker I had in my 88 400 back in the day. It's been renamed a torque locker, and it totally fixes the major problem with the P500, which is the open front differential. That is a really big, beefy differential now that I've been in there. It's the same one out of the P700. It's just missing the diff lock part of it, because if you had a diff lock, it'd be even wider on this side, and that axle would be even shorter. So torque locker took care of that for us. This thing also has a secondary reduction in it now, and it's rated to turn some 33. These are like 30s, so going on some bigger tires soon. But yeah, torque locker, pretty easy to install. You got to have some tools, you got to follow the directions, but nice pictures and everything. Really like these guys. I've done a lot of business with them before. I put them lockers on my buddy's Jeeps, all kinds of stuff. Good product support, good people to deal with, and they make a great product that lasts. I mean, my Toyota's diffs are full of water all the time, and those lockers outlived many front axles. I had an IFS Toyota, by the way, with a locker. Yeah, I know, that's dumb. This picture has nothing to do with the video, it's just a placeholder. If you would like more information about installing a secondary gear reduction on a Honda, there's a video I already posted. There's a link to it in the description, and it's a very good walkthrough on how to install a secondary reduction. The secondary reductions work on the 420s, the 500s, foot shift, and as well as the 420 double clutch. Jeremy Lee sells the secondary reduction. It's the solid gear reduction, no welds, and it's a great mod. It's after the clutches and the transmission, so it's a really good reduction because it takes some stress off of almost every component in the motor. This is my girlfriend's Rubicon. We just did a 35% gear reduction. It's going on some 16-inch custom steel wheels and some 31 Outlaw 3s. Going to try to get those mounted up this week. But yep, and I might be getting another Rubicon, guys, so get excited. Go and look at one this weekend. This picture is another placeholder. I forgot to mention that if you're going to do a secondary gear reduction on a P500, you will need to install a speedo healer from 12 O'Clock Labs. They're like 75 bucks, very easy to install. The reduction factor I used was negative 10%. That took care of the different number of teeth on the gear that the speed sensor picks up and made it shift normal. Also on the Polaris, it's gone. I got rid of it. I flipped it over backwards in a mud hole, hydrolocked it, bent a rod, lots of mud in the engine. Didn't feel like messing with that because that motor is almost impossible to rebuild once it's had that much mud in it because it doesn't have real cylinders and other things. So it's gone. It was a great bike, but I destroyed it. So I replaced it with this little guy, and I'm probably going to get a Rubicon, and maybe I'll get a Renegade 1000 eventually. But the Polaris was great. I just did about everything I wanted to do with it and then broke it, so I figured I'd let someone else have fun with that. But yeah, a little update for you.